In this video, traders, we'll look at perfectionism and risk management. Hey traders and investors, a very warm welcome to. So arguably, being a perfectionist is the worst possible personality trait for a trader. And let me explain why. Okay, so the positive side of being a perfectionist is you're always looking for ways to improve, okay? That's pretty much the definition of perfectionist. Wants to be perfect, wants everything to be as perfect as possible, i.e. things to be in line, things to be clean, things to be the process to be absolutely nailed down perfectly. And the trouble is with that is completely the opposite to trading. Now, whilst that works very, very well with a lot of fields, I would like the guy to be operating on me in a surgeon's perspective to be a perfectionist. I want him to do everything with minute detail, not a case of, oh, let's try and see. It's got to be absolutely right. Just like the guy I want to have who's detailing my car. I want him to have everything right. Every last little bit just fine, polished up, looking sweet as it could be. Pilot, athlete, whatever. You get the point. So the problem with that in trading is that trading is never going to be perfect. So you have these negative kind of sides to being perfectionist that really people who are perfectionists struggle with. First one being they think they need to work harder rather than smarter. So as a perfectionist, generally speaking, they think they need to be kind of better performing at a better level to achieve more. So they kind of take more on, as opposed to smarter and saying, hey, you know what? I can get somebody or something, some program, some person, some algo, some screening tool to do that and do it 80% as well as I do it, but give me my free time back. You know, it's like the old business thing with an employee. An employee rarely does a job as good as you would do it, but it frees you up with time. So if that person does it 75% to the level that you do it, then over a multiple amount of employees, that's worth doing because it frees you up to do stuff that's going to generate more business. So the same kind of thing with trading is like taking more on without thinking about it. But more importantly, you get to these kind of things now from a risk management perspective. The reluctance to push in more size until everything is perfect. You know, a lot of perfectionists, I speak to a lot of traders who they don't say they're perfectionists, but you kind of get it because they've been on demo for years. They stay on demo, they're working on demo, they're kind of not doing anything, and they're like, well, I want to be perfect. I want to actually be perfect. Or they're trading in small size, they've been trading small size for a while, or they're kind of back testing an algo, they've been back testing for so long. You're like, listen, at some point, just pull the trigger and get involved. The only thing you need to have locked down is your risk. If you pull the trigger and get involved, as long as your risk is capped to the level you're comfortable with, then roll with the flow. Go with it. So you know what, my risk is X per trade, X per week, X per year, whatever it may be. Here's my risk capital. Let's go. I've got some experience. I'm ready to rock. You're never going to be perfect. You know, if you're on a demo trying to get every trade right, or you're on a very small size trying to get every trade right, or you're kind of programming an algo trying to get it perfect, it's never going to happen. And so they don't have the ability to push in. Now that, okay, put in more size, i.e. maybe a trader who's doing okay, but will never push the chips in on something that feels right. But similarly, you know, a beginning trader, not taking a step to kind of real money or sort of reasonable size of money. Next one is rationalizing each decision. Perfectionist wants to know why something is happening and rationalizing the decision they've made. So, I decided to go long on that. Why did I decide to go long on that? As opposed to flipping that round and analyzing the trade and then seeing the decision based on the trade. So they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're trying to rationalize why they did it and improve their decision-making process rather than improving the trade process. So next one is becoming bogged down in the trade details. So the finite details of, you know, which exact candle should I be buying it at? What's the precise number I need on my RSI? You know, where should I be in the time of day? And then you try and get everything so perfect that it almost never pull the trigger. And we go back to this, you know, they never pull the trigger because it's never ever perfect. And then even one step further, which I haven't put on here, is when occasionally stuff does line up and it's perfect, they pull the trigger and it doesn't work. The confusion is too much. They're like, oh, what? It was perfect. It should be a perfect trade. But we know, guys, trading is never perfect. You can have the best absolute dream setup and it still loses money. I mean, that's the way it is. Over time, it would make money, but it could lose money on that individual trade. Another one is always finds faults. So they're finding fault with themselves constantly. You know, there are guys out there who are managing money. I'm just looking in my bookshelf to see if I can pick out something from Paul Tudor Jones, but it comes to mind, right? He is constantly saying stuff with his fund like, hey, you know what, I'm not perfect. You know, Ray Dalio, perfect example of Bridgewater Capital, always recognizing that there are weaknesses. So rather than, but accepting them and learning to improve, but still making billions, the fact that they're even weak in these spots that they have accepted. They're not finding fault and saying, I've got to get that before I can play again. I've got to do that. It's saying, okay, these are perhaps weaknesses, but look how what good I'm doing. Look at how well I'm doing. And that's all I need to make progress. I need to do things much better than I am my weaknesses, and they'll overcome it. I don't need to keep looking at the fault and saying, oh, well, actually, I took that 10 ticks too early. It doesn't matter, because the stop was in the right place and you held that trade right until the very last drop of juice was out of it. Well done. Forget about the 10 ticks early. That's not the fault to focus on. The thing to focus on there is the good ability to hold that thing for while the tape was in your favor, while the trade was in your favor. And it's looking at those things as opposed to each individual fault. Last thing I've got for you guys is we'll only trade when they are assured of winning. Similar to what I said, all the ducks are in a row, everything's perfect. Only then will they push the button and make a trade. And like I say, rarely happens. When it does, the confusion when they don't get it. So perfectionists, maybe you're a perfectionist, maybe you know a perfectionist, maybe you've got a slight bit of it. I think a lot of traders have some of it, but are not fully into the whole perfectionist thing. If you are, then just be aware. Just be aware that trading is never going to be perfect. Trading is never ever going to line up exactly as you want. And if it does, it still doesn't mean it's going to be a perfect trade, because if that was the case, you would just wait for your whole decade for the actual perfect trade, then just go in and fully leverage on as much money as you could get hold of, guaranteeing success. And of course, we know that doesn't work. We have trades that are better odds than others, but there's never a full guarantee. So just being cautious if you are kind of one of these perfectionist traders, just accepting some stuff is going to be loose, it's going to be slack, it's not going to fit in right, there might not be a reason for it, it might not be perfect, but at the end of the day, if you're making money, what does it matter? All right guys, see you next one, take care, bye bye.